Do your wiggles, maybe even your moans and your groans. And then just settle in with your hands on your knees, feeling your sits bones on the floor. With your eyes closed, noticing the light penetrating your eyelids. You can really feel like a vibrating, living experience underneath your eyelids. Lean back just slightly towards your shoulders. Deepen your breath. And bring your hands to heart center. We're going to sound 3 ohms. Empty your breath first, then take a deep inhale. Relax your hands. Let your shoulders drop down again. Take another full deep inhale. And with your exhale, softly open your eyes. And we are going to, we're going to start with our feet together, 2 hands length away from our groin. Grab onto your shins. Lift up your chest. Take another full inhale, opening up the front body. And with your exhale, start to roll down, dropping your head towards your feet. Feeling your arms heavy on your legs, or your hands on your feet, your upper body connecting with your lower body. Allow your attention to go to practicing in the yin style. So we find the right posture for our body. And then we see how little muscular effort we can employ to stay in that shape. And then we decide that we're willing to stay in this shape softly. So we're not staying in the shape by becoming rigid and immovable. Instead, we're just softening so our effort is relaxed. It's quite natural to close your eyes during a yin pose, orienting your attention inward. And with the surface of your body still and your eyes closed, you start to feel more deeply not only into your emotional experience or your feeling life, but also you feel more deeply into your body, into the sensations of your body. So we have a full moon in Virgo. And it's conjunct the south node, which means that there is a full lunar eclipse with the moon and the sun lying on the same path as the moon's nodes, the place where the Earth's ecliptic around the sun and the moon's ecliptic around the Earth intersect. In Pisces, where the sun is, there's a gathering of personal planets, including Mars, Venus, and Mercury going retrograde. The moon is squared to Jupiter. And so the full moon's glory has a shadow cast onto it by the earth because the sun is behind the earth, so to speak. And the moon is alone in Virgo. And we know the moon moves quickly. So it's really like this enlivening kind of heartbeat into the body of the cosmos, reminding us not to get too out of balance with whatever sign the sun's in. That is like the role of the full moon. So in Pisces, it's one of the places where we can get easily disoriented and lost. So this Virgo full moon offers us a little bit like a lifeline, something to tether us to the earth, which is absolutely fitting because Virgo is an earth sign and it's ruled by Mercury. Notice if there has creeped in any kind of contraction or rigidity, and see if you can soften there again. And then with your inhale, start to roll up. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, pop your chest up. And today we're going to just do a little roll with our skull in our neck. Skull in our neck. Just doing a neck roll. Take it in one direction slowly and then save enough time to return in the other direction. Another 360 degrees. And then you can kind of hang your head a little bit back. And pinch your shoulder blades together, pop your chest up. And lower yourself onto the ground from this position. So we're not going to pause on our elbows today. We're going to go straight down and take our triple diamond mudra. So we're bringing our thumbs and our index fingers together, all other fingers spread out, sliding our thumbs to where the ground and our head meet, letting our elbows drop to the side, extending our pinky finger, our ring finger, and middle fingers, touching thumb to thumb and index finger to index finger. So in this posture, you feel a holy openness, unguardedness even. And I like that it has the thumbs coming down to where your head and the earth meet, because for me, there's something here about Virgo, that there's a support for our head and the realm of our head in our earthly body. Another way to say this is, while Mercury, we first get to know this planet in Gemini. That's its natural, one of the other homes other than Virgo for Mercury. And Gemini is an air sign, and we see the rapid changing capacity of Mercury kind of exalted in Gemini. It can move from one thing to the next, one topic to the other, and it's very hard to predict, impossible even, to predict the movement. Now, on the other hand, in Virgo, it's Mercury and Earth. And well, let's look at that picture. Isn't that kind of the picture of the thermometer? Yes, glass being sand that's heated so high that it becomes glass, and the mercury is trapped inside. And in its containment, it has a sensitivity to rise and fall with the temperature as it expands and contracts with temperature. So we know Mercury as an earth element more intimately as something that measures. It's the left brain. But in the even more kind of esoteric picture of Mercury in Virgo, this Mercury in Earth, through traditional Chinese medicine, we see this very clearly laid out in the studies around the stomach and the spleen. And there's a correlation that the health of our body, especially our stomach and spleen meridians, are the thing that host our capacity to think. So there's a holiness to the fact that we can think, connected to the fact that we're on Earth. So without having an earthly body, Virgo, we would be unable to access this thinking element of Mercury. That after death, in the spiritual realm, we don't think the way we think here. Take another full inhale, and with your exhale, release your arms and bring your hands into prayer over your heart. And then lift up your feet and spy that pointy oval in between your soles and try to dive through it to lift your body up. And we're going to slide our right leg behind us. And ta-da! We're setting up for a swan pose. And today we're going to stay here for actually a couple of minutes in a lifted position before we bring our upper body down to the ground. So there's a natural elegance of the swan. And feel how there is a healing pressure in the lower back and the kidney area. Stretch around the front of the right hip, going into the thigh. And this might be enough for you, but maybe you want to lift up your back foot reach behind with one or two hands even. And play with either having a mermaid tail or flexing your foot and actually pushing your shin back towards your hands, feeling kind of the activation of the back bend a little bit more. Take another full inhale and then relax your heel towards you. Soften your toes and start to bring your head down for screaming half king pigeon. If that's too much for you, let go of your leg and settle down into sleeping pigeon, stretching your arms out or resting your forehead on your forearms. Make the adjustments you need to make the pose your own. And if you're holding onto your leg, do so for about 5 to 10 breaths, and then join us in sleeping pigeon, otherwise known as sleeping swan in yin yoga. Now, in this day and age, we have come to regard thinking in a very mundane way. Yet, when we study esoterica, cosmology, when we listen to certain mystics, we start to learn that our thinking is actually a most holy event. And that our thinking belongs to the realm of the angels. Another way to say it is the realm in between the earth and the moon, the sphere of the moon, which is the sphere in which we experience the angels. It is the sphere we move through before we are born through a woman, and it is the sphere we move back into as we die. And the realm of the angels isn't the same as the realm of earth. On earth, we understand that the human being is in the natural world. It's real, it's here. We know it. But on earth, our experience of angels can only happen in kind of a mirror effect. So we can experience angels working through nature, we can experience angels working through human beings, but we can't physically see an angel's body here. We can merely detect its reflection. And that we would experience in water or mist or air, even lightning, fire. All the elements really have an access to the different hierarchies. The angels and then the spiritual beings above the angels. Now you might be having a moment going, wasn't she just talking about thinking and now she's talking about angels? Yes. And really, we want to start to just try it on in imagination first. And perhaps you too will notice what a fertile experience it is to activate these pictures and images in your thinking and then how they live with you over the next couple of days, months, or years. While we cannot see and experience the angels on earth like I experience another human being or an animal or a plant, our very thinking is actually happening in the world of the angels. So a long, 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 long time ago, a human being had an experience of the world that was full of spirit. And it was from that experience of different spiritual beings that a thought arose from. And so the human being would be like, oh, I got this gift from the heavens, from one of these spiritual beings. They gifted me this thought. It didn't originate in me. It originated in the spiritual realm. With your next inhale, start to walk your hands back towards your body. And then roll onto your buttocks. So you're going to roll to your left. So you have your heel in front of you, your right leg stretched out. Lift up your chest and bow forward down the middle here. Maybe your heel is kind of pushing into your belly button. Maybe it's not. So the fact that the angels are not of this realm means that they don't show up physically. Rudolf Steiner said something about how 20 angels can cast their kind of reflection. I want a more potent word, but their presence into a sheet of water. It's a little bit like the vagueness of how many angels can, stand on the head of a pin. But up to 80 angels can be in the sheet of water of a wave. Like, oh, wow. And because they aren't of this realm, this is where we can experience rich thinking gifted from the angels in every single human being. So if we picture the earth and we imagine the moon moving around the earth, we want to understand this as marking the sphere, the globe with which we are in. So the sphere of the earth is in the sphere of the moon. And then roll up. And for today, we're just going to put our left hand behind the left hip and then stretch your right arm up. Take a full inhale, maybe a sigh. And then with your exhale, come back down. And we're going to bend our right heel in, stretch our left leg out, and position ourselves to be in swan pose. You can make the adjustments. A good check, you want to make sure that your right knee is on the outside of your right hip. If it's too intense and you need to ease it a little bit, you can bend your back knee out to the side. Otherwise, let's start by just breathing in here and feeling the extension of our chest and our neck, shoulders softening behind us. Very much like how a fish is in water, or I imagine a fish is in water. That is our experience of being within the angelic realm. Feel free to bend your back leg, grab onto your shin, and pull your shin closer with a flex foot, maybe taking 2 arms, or you can work on the mermaid tail, whatever variation works for you. So the mermaid tail is more hooking the foot into your elbow rather than taking it straight back. But I like to do what I did on the other side. Find them a little bit tighter on this side today. Staying for a couple of breaths first, here. And then holding on to your heel as if you did last time, and transitioning, stretching your foot into screaming half king pigeon pose. That's the yang version. I guess it would be screaming half king swan pose. If it's too much for you already, you can release your leg or do so in 5 to 10 breaths. Now, in the mysteries of Virgo, we find also the mysteries of the maiden and the virgin. So immediately we get a sense of purity, of innocence. But in our educated eyes, we can also understand that this terminology has been evolved, has changed over time. So for us who are completely indoctrinated in materialism, we think of virgin as like the hymen is intact. But when we actually study the evolution of spirituality, we start to see that that can also refer to not necessarily the body's intactness, but the sovereignty of a woman who is consistent in her thinking and her feeling and her doing. That is so far in their spiritual practice, so far along, that there's no discrepancy between the ideals of the individual's morality and their actions. And this purity of both the maiden and the priestess is part of why in this age Jesus was born to the Virgin Mary, and that it is the Mary actually that the Mary figure that carries capacities that are life-giving to each one of us, says capacity to then house this Christ. So the feminine on this very exalted level is what's necessary to make the whole life of the Jesus being in each one of us possible so that we can take in the Christ. And it is through then Mary that Jesus is born. And then start to walk your hands back towards you. Roll onto your buttocks. Now you have the other heel in front of you, your other leg stretched out. Maybe scoot your buns back a little bit and then soften down over the middle line again. So that your heel is like in your belly button. So there is this higher teachings around between like these different roles in the story that are telling us something about where we are as human beings together collectively. And that we see right now in the evils of the world a persistent drive to destroy the feminine and to destroy the life-giving capacity of those that are able to give life. So there's a destructive impulse against the Mother Earth, against women, against girls. Because it's a threat, because it's through this feminine that the masculine is born and then is able to walk the holy path. And this isn't having to do with gender. Each one of us gets to walk a holy path. But there's a reason why forces, the adversaries, want to pervert our understanding of the masculine and the feminine, because there's something essential in the teachings that actually lead to the liberation of human beings, which is the biggest threat to the adversarial powers. Now start to walk your hands back towards you. Place your right hand behind your right thigh and stretch through the left side of your body. Maybe take a full inhale, with your exhale, just sigh it out. And then we're going to stretch both of our legs out together in caterpillar. And you can relax your legs. You might even have to encourage them to relax a little bit. You can walk off the fleshy part of your butt and then soften down towards your legs. Bowing your head, letting your elbows be soft, your shoulders dropping. So in this time of the Virgo full moon, in the eclipse of the Virgo full moon, this is closing that portal window of the eclipse season. There is this lighting up of the feminine. How can we find different ways to protect and lift up and celebrate the capacity to give life? Somewhere I remember reading a long time ago, Rudolf Steiner said, life comes from life. And you read that and you're like, Duh, of course it does. But then you're starting to see how much of a important, vital point this is. Becoming more and more so. You know, as so much of our world is trying to be mimicked and modified through genetics or some sort of faking it. We want to remember this as a guiding principle. Life comes from life. It does not come from a machine. It does not come from outside of ourselves. It comes from the living beings. And if that's not how something is coming into this realm, then it is trying to skip out on the natural and spiritual evolution of humanity. Start to roll up. And gather your knees up. Bend your knees, hug them in. And drop your head down for a moment. And today, let's do a little bit of a yin-y yang seated twist. So we're going to do, to close, we're going to do deer pose. So bring your right heel behind you, your left heel in front of you. If your body is feeling stiff today, you can bring your heels as close as you can in towards the center line of your spine. If you're feeling more open and flexible, you can move your heels further away from you. Inhale your chest, and with your exhale, twist to your left, letting your right hand drape to the outside of your left knee. And we're going to stay lifted here. We're going to be pretty active in our upper body and see if we can drop and soften in our lower body. Inhale, get a little taller with your exhale. Twist a little deeper, even allowing your chin to search for your left shoulder. And then with your next exhale, unwind and come a little bit too far to the right, so you do a little counter twist. You can make a sound effect too. And then you can just change legs if you want, or you can play with me. I like to lift up my knees and then drop them for the other side, and ta-da! It kind of pops you into the other side of the posture. Again, adjust your heels. Where do you need them today? Are you feeling flexible? Are you feeling tight? Start by lifting upright, and then with your exhale, twist to your right. Staying in extension here with your chest lifted. There's quite a lot of action happening in your upper body, and then see if you can let your lower body get heavy. This caring for the feminine, for the earth part of ourselves, is what hosts amazing insights, healthy thinking. And so to think that keeping our body more healthy and free of stress and trauma helps us connect to the realm of the angels better. They're always there. But notice the creativity that awakens in your thinking when you're balanced in your physical body. And then unwind the twist and give a little bow to the left-hand side. And then unwind out of the pose and start to lower yourself down. We're going into Shavasana. So grab a blanket if you'd like. Palms open, legs a little further apart than usual, perhaps, letting your toes fall out. You can pop your chest up and pinch your shoulder blades together and then soften your rib cage down. Notice particularly the parts of your body that are the feminine, the earth and the water parts of your body. And find Shavasana. With your next inhale, start to invite your breath to the edges of your beautiful body, your holy body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Smile. Make funny faces. And then with your next inhale, stretch your arms over your head. Reach your fingers away from your toes. Get long. And with your exhale, roll into a ball, hugging your knees to your chest, and come onto your right side. And then find your way into a comfortable seated position. And bring your hands to heart center. Close your eyes. Coming back to where we started from, but coming back completely different, transformed. Empty your breath, and we're going to take a big breath in for one Om. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. And so much love. Yay, make some noise. And thank you so very much.